for me, I call them the biggest stakeholders of football is the government. The government is a very, very important. Somebody said players are most important. But I'm telling you, you can have players, you can have coaches, you can have referees, you can have clubs, you can have officials, you can have FIFA, you can have CAF, you can have very good media, you have very good sponsors. There are things that government must do.
Actually, President,
for football, to give you the final product, and if government does not do them, you can try as much as possible, but you'll never get it right. Government is very, very important in the infrastructure of the country. For example, let me give up. When players get injured, football cannot operate them. There must be infrastructure in the hospital where this can happen. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. When we are going to play under 17, those boys, we need to do MRI. If the country does not have that infrastructure, it's going to affect football. So what am I saying? That there are certain infrastructure challenges that the society experiences, and these will affect football. But we want to thank government that generally as a country, there's been improvement in some of the infrastructure. I'm not talking about the sporting ones, I'll come to those later, that have affected football and have improved. Now we have more power generated. Football, we need power.
Yeah.
We need power to play football at night. We need power in the offices. We need power. But today, there's a lot of generation of power. And for us as football, we think we are not going to suffer as part of the society. And when these people of AFCON and CHAN, when they come to inspect, actually this country has everything. You know, you guys, you have everything that football would want to have. But it means that government has put in place those things. And for me, that credit must be taken. The other thing is the economy. The economy is run down and up by government. So, government, for you to be able to go to MTN and they give you 2 billion shillings, they must be able to operate in an economy where inflation is controlled. And these are policies and decisions done by government. So even football is going to be affected by the decisions and actions of this stakeholder called the government by some of these decisions they take. So the economy of a country can affect its football performance because the business there, if a business came and operated here, can it really sponsor? Is it making enough money? The ability of the people to buy. That is a pure football. As football, we can do nothing about it. We have no drivers to really affect that. Then the other one is peace and security.
Yeah.
There are countries. I've been to Juba. I think I was in Juba about a week or so ago when we went for the Sakafa Congress. And they will tell you, you know, the situation is not very good, so you people, don't move out of your hotels. And, you know, no, it's okay, but don't. In Uganda here, people go and watch football, play football, not even watch. There are those even who play football at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And they are playing football, you know. So, the peace and security of a country, that today in Uganda you can move from every corner to every corner. I'm trying to emphasize the point that government can affect that final product we are calling football. That's why I'm saying they are very, very important. And I talked about society challenges. I'm not yet talking about football. Inside sport or football. Government is very important. Extremely important. I don't know what terminologies and supplements I can use to emphasize the point. You can do everything. But without the long arm of government. And let me tell you how government affects football. First of all, for football, people forget, football is a subset of society. It's just part of society. That the problems of society affect football as well. Now, the only challenge about football is that there is international competition. Uganda can compete with Kenya in football. But Uganda does not compete with Kenya in health. There is no international competition in roads. There is no international competition. I think the only competition which happens in sport. That Uganda versus Kenya, either it will be athletics, whatever sport it is. And that is how important government is in the final product you want to put on the market. For example, as government, you need infrastructure, let alone the infrastructure of sport. But the infrastructure, because I remember when we were in Masindi, when I was still in Kinyara, playing football in Kinyara. If we were going to play a game, I remember there's a time we were going to play a game, I think it was a Uganda Cup game, in Fort Portal. We boarded from Masindi, we came to Kampala, and then Mitiana, Mubende to Fort Portal.
Instead of finding a shorter cut.
You get what I'm saying? Today, through the support of the African Development Bank, and when I was working in African Development Bank, I was very keen on this particular project because I remember the suffering. I remember when they was inside the bank, they were saying this and that. And I said, guys, have you ever been a victim? I remember in one of the meetings I said it. From Masindi going to Fort Portal, coming to Kampala, and then from Kampala. Now today, African Development Bank funded a project where there is a road from Fort Portal to Hoima, to Masindi, to Chigumba. Now that infrastructure alone was affecting football. By the time we reach Fort Portal, we are tired. You've gone through all potholes. So the final product we are going to give you is not by our talent. It's not by our ability. It's also that the road is bad.
Now I know why Express failed to go to Barifa.
You remember the Express issue?
Villa, eh?
You remember
Villa used the plane and Express was on the road and they stopped at Karuma.
You remember the Express issue? That going to Arua is a 1 hour flight. So when they said they want to go, and I will still insist, I may be wrong, but this is what I think, that from that day, from that decision, from that failure to reach in time, Express has never been the same. I don't know whether you remember, of course, having been a big club, you struggle, you come up, but from that time, the momentum, and that's what people don't understand, that sometimes, but from that time, the momentum.
You can even win some titles in between.
But the momentum goes down.
On the downwards.
And before you notice, you are below the... But if the infrastructure was there, let me just assume, there was a speed train between Kampala and Arua. So trains are even cheaper than cars. So maybe the club could have afforded it. You get it? And it's 2 hours. Maybe it would have not affected that product of the people in Arua who are carrying people on a border or by whatever means to the stadium. They did not make money. Simply because the infrastructure between Kampala and Arua did not allow that. Now, when you move inside sport, there are things that as football we cannot, they will demand them of us. But then we have no means, we do not have the ability. For example, funding. For Uganda to compete, to be able to beat some of the best teams on the continent, like Mao said, Norbert Mao said, for you, if you walk like a duck, you eat like a duck, you cry like a duck, that's when you can be called a duck.
You cannot be a hen or a goat.
Now, for you, and when the draws were done, I saw the comments of people, Nigeria, Tunisia, and all that. And the people say, we cannot manage, we cannot. Why are you saying that? It is because you are not behaving like those countries in terms of what they do. How much money is invested in the Tunisian team, is invested in the Nigerian team, in Morocco? Those teams, when you find the biggest, and I've said this on this show, that football is about money. The one who has money does better. The one who does not have money does less. Forget the things of some people saying, you know, you can be talented and you beat those people. Now, Morocco, the one we talk about that has played the semi-finals of Africa, I mean of World Cup, the only country in Africa that has played the semi-finals of World Cup, Morocco has not won the Africa Cup of Nations since 1976. Despite, you can imagine, they are spending $27 million every year into not sport, but football.
Football, not sport.
Not sport, but football. Now, that is why Morocco can have 13 national teams, and when to the break, they are all playing. From under 12, under 15. So by the time you are going to see Hakimi, you are going to see some of these players, the cooking has been different. So, you can only beat Morocco by doing what they are doing. Then you can go on the pitch and compete. Funding, the volume of monies involved to run national teams cannot be generated by federations. That is a lie. It can never be, however much you want. So the only common denominator here, because national football it has so many goods for our country. So many good things for our country. So the only thing that, the only institution or entity that can be able to fund football is government. And I want to congratulate and thank government that at least there is a journey that has been taken. I remember in 2010, 2011, the entire sports budget was 400 million. Now today, the federation gets up to 17 billion of football, and also other federations get a total of 35 billion. You know, when we talk about the 17 billion, people need to notice that it's a total of 35 billion, which is going to sports federations. All of them. That is all the other federations and football combined. Now, when the government is spending 35 billion into funding activities of federations, that's why you can start seeing teams performing. And I still believe that this is not enough. There are federations that are not being funded to the value and to the contribution they make, and we can only make it better.